What's up, everybody? It is Darren Bricky here, PPL Podcast, episode number 2. I'm supposed to have some really cool intro probably by now, but I still don't. So it's day 2, January 2nd, 2018, and, kind of get into the whole groove. So I know I said once a week, but I got a couple, I said I had like a dozen or so questions. I'm going to knock these out for the next 2 weeks and see what happens. So one thing too, for those of you who have not joined our Facebook group yet, it's 100% free. There's no pictures in there. Oh, actually, I have one today, kind of, sort of, offered some free coaching, but not free coaching, but paid coaching. There will not be a whole lot of offers in there. There'll be some webinar stuff we'll be doing soon with David Longacre and Justin Towns and stuff like that. But so it's facebook.com/group/pay per lead marketers. For those of you who are on YouTube, there'll be a description link in the description below. A link in the description below. For those of you on SoundCloud or iTunes, jump on over to Facebook and just search "Pay per Lead Marketers," not PPL Marketers, "Pay per Lead Marketers." It's going to be just kind of a community in there where we basically all share ideas and what's working. I'll answer questions as I can, and then the community can help each other. And we monitor the posts in there, so nobody can just post. It has to be approved by an admin to post in there. So it's kind of a really tight knit group. So just know that. All right, let's jump in today. So, also, if you have questions, if you're on YouTube, obviously the YouTube comment section is obviously okay to put questions in there. I will answer those there. But I'll probably do like these kind of in between videos. I think what makes kind of sense is like maybe the Monday show will be a topic, let's say, and then Tuesday through Friday, I'll do like follow up questions and more, deeper dive into that topic. That's probably my idea for it yet, but I haven't really, it's not 100% this is how it's going to work, but that's my idea. Let me know what you guys think. Maybe like, a topic of the week, maybe talk about that for the 20, 30 minutes on the Monday show. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, kind of go over questions and comments and kind of just kind of deeper dive into that topic. That's kind of the idea. I'm thinking that might work. So, I'm not sure. Again, this is not meant to be every day, but right now I feel like I'm in a good spot in my mind. So let's go ahead and do it. Also today, I sat at Volkswagen for a couple hours because my ignition in my Volkswagen just stopped working. I basically couldn't turn my car off. I got home this morning from the gym, and it was like whatever, like 7ish, and I just could not turn my car off. So I had to go to Volkswagen in the morning. Basically wasted a quart tank of gas, but hey, it's $700 later. I got it fixed. Right? Actually, it's like $630 or something. I forgot exactly the price, but anyway, all right. So today's question comes from Clint Leonard. And the question is, when building out sites, do you focus on certain types, such as mass page sites focus on regions, or do you diversify with types of sites and locations, regions, cities, nationwide, etc.? The second question, he also asked, get the client first or build out sites first. That's it. I get that question a lot, so I'll answer that in another video. But for today's question, I'll tackle the when building out sites, what do you focus on? What kind of sites do you build? So one of the guys in our Facebook group, David Longacre, does a lot of national sites. He has some bigger stuff going on. I tend to do localized sites. I use mass page builders to do that, but that's not because I don't build 30,000 pages per se. I use mass page builders to build a site out faster, not necessarily to build out more pages. I hope that makes sense. So in other words, if I'm building a 50-page site, let's say, as a basis of a kind of like steady idea here, do a metro area and then a surrounding radius. Maybe it's a whole county, that kind of thing, where you might have 20 or 30 cities included in there. I'll use a mass page builder to help me build out those pages faster versus building them out individually. Because I spend content, obviously. I do spend content. Inside of PPL Profits, we have a whole section of how to spend content the right way. But there are tutorials that are similar to what I do. I do mine a little bit differently. I do what's called content blocks, where I build paragraphs at a time versus a whole page at a time. Excuse me. But basically, the idea there is that I can use mass page builders to quickly build out sites. So what I used to use, I don't use it anymore, but I used to use a product called Gadget. So I haven't used it in probably 6 to 9 months now, maybe 6 months. If I had to guess, maybe 9 months. And for multiple reasons, there was a bug that was not creating certain pages, and it just never got resolved. And I have not gone back to it to see if it's been fixed, but I just moved on from there. It's fine. If you want to check it out, it is leegadget.com. Link in the description. I'm not an affiliate or anything with them anymore. I was for a little while, just where they were. I was a paid. I did some trading for them on their stuff, but I don't use them anymore. But it's still good. I use Mass Page Creator. I think it's called MPC. I mean, I don't build sites anymore. I didn't until last year. I did. I mean, I built most. I enjoy building sites, so I did most of the site building. But now I have the guys on the team do that, so I don't really touch it anymore. But so back to the question. So what I'll tend to do is I'll use a Mass Page Creator or Mass Page Builder to help me build the sites faster. And the reason I like Lead Gadget so much is because it was cloud based. So you could store all your data in the cloud, and then what it would do is it would basically build off of a server. So I can just replicate that site multiple times, and because I'm spinning content, every version of that is unique. That's a good thing about that software. It allows you to basically build the content structure in a cloud, and then pull from that cloud to produce sites. I can't do this in a podcast, obviously. I can't show you anything. But it for what it did, it was, a little more team on that side. If I had a little bit more of a team to back it up and help with the coding, basically one guy coding it all. If they had a full team of coders and really did that thing really well, they can make a killing on that site. But so the reason I do that is because I'm niched down, right? So I do one particular niche and I repeat it across the country. So let's talk a little about philosophy here for a second. So national site versus regional site versus local site. So what I consider a national site is like all 50 states. I'm going to pretty much talk about U.S. because obviously I'm here in the U.S. So you can apply this to your local area. If you're in a different country, feel free. But the idea here is that so you have national sites which are, all 50 states. You have regional sites which are the South, the North, the Central, maybe the great states, whatever it is, the Ohio, Indiana, all that stuff, right? And then you have statewide states, and then you have statewide sites, and then you have county sites, and then you have city sites. So let's talk about all those for a second and why I do what I do. So for the most part, I will build a local site based on a metro area. So I live in West Palm Beach area, so I'll use this as an example. So I'll build a West Palm Beach site, and I will try to find out what other people, as far as companies in my space, so in theory, my potential partners, where they're actually going to do service at. So if I'm obviously not in home services, but if I was in let's say a plumber in home services, I would see what other plumbers in the West Palm Beach area, we have. So if you go from south to north, we have, South County, which is the Boca Raton, Delray, Boynton Beach, into Lake Worth kind of area. And then we have, you have like kind of the central area, which is like the Forest Hill area, which is not really a city. It's not really, I guess Forest Hill is not really a city. It's more of a road, but we kind of call it the Forest Hill area. You have West Palm Beach, and then north of that, which is, and you also have a little bit east, which is Palm Beach, and you have west, which is Wellington, Loxahatchee, and then you have north. So for the most part, in our county is relatively big for the state, but all the people live on the East Coast. There's a bunch of sugarcane and sod farms in the middle, and there's a couple of cities out to the west near Lake Okeechobee, which is like the Pahokee, Glades kind of area. And so people who work in West Palm Beach won't go out to the Glades for the most part. There's very few companies that do that unless they have a ton of trucks and they can work the whole area. For the most part, people that are in Palm Beach Gardens, which is north of West Palm Beach, will stay in that area, right? They won't come down south to the Boca Raton, Boynton Beach, Delray Beach area. They'll stay kind of North County and then South County. Now, we happen to have a large county, so that kind of works that way. I'll say large as in land mass, not so much people. I think there's like 1 million people in Palm Beach County or so. So I always check to see what's working there. So what I might do though is I might actually build a county site for something like this, and then what you can do is what's called a sniper site. So The idea here is that when you're building a county site that maybe has multiple service areas, on your landing pages, you can have the company that you're partnering with. So let's just do a quick example. So let's say you have 25 cities and you have 3 partners for the county. Let's just say someone takes North County, which is 10 cities, someone takes South County, which is 10 cities, and someone takes the Western County, which is 5 cities. This is an arbitrary number system, so don't feel like this is the way it needs to be. It's just an example. So you have 10, 10, and 5, so 25 cities, right? On the northern cities of the county, you could put a logo for that company who's servicing that area and say this area is serviced by, and then have their name there. And then they'll have a tracking number that's for that particular company that you have, that you can track that to see where it's going. In that situation, what you would have is for the main site on the upper and the header, you would have a generic phone number that would not go to any of those 3, and then go to a call center, and then that call center would ask for their zip code, and then that person would route the call to the appropriate person or company. I mean, depending on where that person lives. So there is some options there. So the reason I like to build those kind of sites, or even like smaller, I'll build like for instance for if I had a company who was just in West Palm Beach, I would build West Palm Beach and the surrounding cities. I wouldn't build all the way down south, all the way up north, all the way out west. The reason I like that is because it gives me options, right? So there's pros and cons here, because the pros are I now have a sellable asset that almost any company that's in the area can buy. Anybody that wants to come down to Florida can buy this if they want to work in the West Palm Beach area. I have a very, it's an asset that's worth probably 15, 20 grand if I'm building leads out of it. Obviously, it'd be worth more if I'm getting more leads out of it. I can show that kind of stuff. It's always good to have tracking on all your sites. You have phone records, that sort of thing. You can show the value of that. Empire Flippers can help you sell it, that whole thing. So what we want to do here is I want to have a site that's small enough that anybody can buy it. The problem with very, very large sites, as an example, if I did all of South Florida, which is, Palm Beach, Broward, Miami-Dade counties, there's not a whole lot of companies that can cover all 3 of those areas. So to make a sellable asset is difficult for that, right? It's not worth, it has to be the right buyer. Obviously, the right buyer will come in and buy it for maybe 200, 300 grand, totally fine. But that market is very small. Any company who's looking to have a lead gen site, overtake my site, who wants to give me 20, 30, 40 grand, whatever the number needs to be that makes sense for me based on what I'm making off the site, obviously. I have a lot of prospects to sell that to, and that's a good number. I can finance it over a year. There's things that can be done, right? There's a lot of things that can work there. So there is some of that I like about having smaller sites. The downside of that is SEO, right? If you're doing true organic SEO, doing link building and getting stuff like that, if you're doing that in every single, let's say I think there's like 67 counties or something like that in Florida, that's 67 times you're doing that, which is really difficult to get that much work done and manage everything versus like one site and just, kind of peel pieces off. So there are pros and cons to both. I like to have assets that I can sell off one day. If I decided tomorrow that I'm out of the personal injury space altogether, I want to sell everything off, I got a couple $1 million worth of sites I can sell to different law firms. There's a sales process there, obviously, but for the most part, one law firm is not going to buy, all my a national site. Now, of course, a law firm could sell I could sell a Florida-based website, which I don't have any, to a law firm, but it's really hard to sell to like a plumber, let's say. They don't cover usually the whole area. They cover a county or a couple counties, depending on where they're at in that county. So, like for instance, if you're in Jupiter, which is very, very north, I think it's the most northern city in Palm Beach County, you might do Martin County, which is like Tequesta and I think it's Vero up there and other places too. So there are some options, or Port St. Lucie, there are some options like that. There you have 2 counties, whatever. But I tend to do smaller sites that are like that too. And also too, I feel like if something should happen to where you get, if something happens to your site, someone negative SEOs it, or just, listen, some sites aren't going to rank just because for random reasons. We can get to that later. But if you just don't rank that site very well, all your eggs are per se in one basket, and that becomes a problem too, right? If something happens to the site, your entire income is gone. That's why I like paid so much, So there's that, and then also too, it's very easy to build a site out, right? If you're using a mass page creator to build your sites, the data is kind of the same as changing the city names out, right? You have your spun content, and I mean like real spun content, not this whole, idea that you're pushing a button and it's spun content. I'm talking about real spun content here. And so if you do that, that'll help you kind of understand the philosophy of like using a mass page creator to build local small sites. So I pretty much do city with radius. It ends up being county sometimes because some places are smaller. But like if you go to like Connecticut, they have like a ton of counties and they're all like basically a city's a county, that kind of thing. You want to make sure that you're building multiple counties on a site. So it all depends on the thing I look for is we look for whatever the person whatever the other companies in that area where they're actually servicing. So if you look at their services locations page, you can kind of see where they're servicing and kind of get an idea of where and what kind of sites that how big your site needs to be. Because one, those are your potential partners, right? That's always helpful. And then two, you have an asset you can sell. And sure, you might have, I have a couple thousand domains. I'm spending 20 or 30,000 a month, a year. I mean, not a month. That'd be awesome. A year in domain names, but okay, fine. And to be clear, I don't think either one is right or wrong. I don't think no, you should never do nationwide sites. You should always do local sites. I mean, that's not the case. I mean, you should do both. I mean, you should definitely experiment and see what works well for you and what makes more sense. But for me, I could put one phone number on the site and have everything come through there and have one partner take that site over. To me, it's a lot easier. I think it's better. But of course, I'm not against nationwide sites. Don't get me wrong. I think they take a lot of effort. You have a lot of what's called thin pages. And that's becoming more of an issue with Google now too, is that you have a lot of pages that aren't really being utilized, meaning that people don't go to the pages. There's not a whole lot of links to them, meaning people aren't going to there. You're gonna have a lot more difficult time ranking those. Then you get some. I hate the word de-indexation. It's not really the right word, but they don't deserve to be indexed, right? There's not like they're de-indexed. They just don't deserve to be indexed. Why should you have if nobody goes to your page and nobody ever finds your page, even through your own internal links, no one follows the links on your page? Why should it be in the index? It's pointless. Just because you built a page, you deserve to be indexed? No. It needs to have some value to it. So there's some of that, right? But yeah, I do some manual building of sites, meaning that we do them without the mass page creators, but that's a very rare thing. And we also have, so as an example, like plumbingexample.com, plumbers.com, I'll have a landing page for each city, and I've been testing both. So one version is a landing page per city with, if it's like plumber, whatever, you'll have like different topics on there and make it one huge, like massive page of like, 2,000-3,000 words. And we also been doing landing pages with like kind of child or, child parent, combinations where I have like plumber on the one page and then I have like water heater, which links to the plumber page and that kind of thing. I've had success with both, so I don't feel like either one's right or wrong. I've had just building landing pages and stuff like that. And I go after long tail stuff for my SEO because I don't want to spend 5 hours a day link building. I just want to get long tail stuff for that. And what I use, so my overall mentality on PPL is I'm not trying to capture everybody. I'm trying to capture everybody at a good price because I can capture everybody in the market and spend a couple $100,000 a month and get everybody. But that's not smart for anybody to do that, right? What makes sense for me is, for the SEO purposes, I'll tend to do long tail keywords like, as an example, for auto accident, I'll do something like, seatbelt injury, seatbelt injury after an accident versus like auto accident attorney, right? But I'll use PPC, like AdWords, to go after the auto accident attorney keywords. Because I can control my cost and there's less effort involved. I just know how to, you can. There's certain ways to set up your accounts to where certain people will see those. There's ways to bid on that kind of stuff too. So there is some of that. But for the most part, I don't think any of these is wrong. I don't think a local site versus a national site versus a city versus a region site is wrong, or county site even is right or wrong. I just think once you learn how to rank a site, once you know what works for you, there is a like nationwide sites take more effort, right? There's things you got to do. Smaller sites, tend to be easier, but there's more of them, so it becomes time issue too. It just depends on what you want to build on. So we in 2018, kind of our idea is to have a little bit of a combination. We're trying to do a little more testing and seeing stuff. Obviously now with Jensen coming out, I think later this month, I'm going to be testing a lot of stuff that I would not normally test because of the time and effort. But having a tool like Jensen, which if you're not sure what that is, it's Jensen.ai, link in the description. But the idea here is that, a tool like that can really help you kind of optimize and see what's going on and kind of play with things and get real numbers. So it's kind of cool. But anyway, all right, cool. Yeah. So I think again, I think the whole idea of using a mass page creator is not to build huge sites all the time. I use it as a way to expedite the process of building sites. I don't have to spend a week building a site. I can, when I was using Gadget, you could build 20, 30 sites in a day, literally build them out in a day. And then what you do is like you come back to them and kind of clean them up. But everybody puts a theme on first, and everybody asks the question, "What's the best theme to use? What's the best landing pages?" I mean, no offense, but screw all that. Just build a site with good content. Don't worry about how it looks. Don't worry about none of that stuff cares. Ugly converts anyway, right? People want to have a perfect the thing above the fold. Man, none of that stuff. I've seen zero effect on my business by creating a beautiful site versus a site that's like literally the 2017 theme on there. Obviously, some credibility eventually, but to start off with, I mean, it takes time to rank a site anyway, right? It takes time you build a site today, you're not going to rank it today. So let it sit for a few weeks before you clean it up. That's all. All right, guys. That's my idea for today's topic. When building out sites, do you focus on certain types? Regional, city, nation, or nationwide, whatever. And again, my answer is, play with them all. Do a little bit of everything. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode today. Again, let me know how you think about the idea of doing something along the lines of maybe a Monday topic and then Tuesday through Friday kind of hashing it out more and answering questions that people ask in the questions from the video from Monday. So if you guys like the idea, let me know. If you don't care, say, hey, whatever, doesn't matter. But thanks, guys, for listening, and I will see you guys on the next episode of the PPL Podcast. Woohoo! Later.